Hi, my name is Haley. This is my knitting channel. Welcome or welcome back, and today we're going to do another podcast. Right into it. The only finished object I have is my mod tee with shorts that don't match, so just don't mind me. But here she is. When I knit this up, I was a little nervous because I made it quite exact. Like if I if I lifted my arm up, the sleeve would have been like right there, and then down it was like perfect. But I was really nervous that it was going to grow a lot when I blocked it, so I was scared to make it too big and then have it be huge and unwearable because I did not put buttons, so wouldn't be able to close it, blase. And I'm happy I did that because it did grow a ton, and now I feel like it's the perfect size. I also knit the body like to right here, so I was scared that was going to be too short too, but I got a lot of length in blocking, and then I didn't start decreasing until like this far past my elbow, decreased it down, and then decreased again for the cuff. And she's a cutie. I love it. It was quicker than I thought it would be, but still kind of long compared to some of the other things I've made recently, but I think overall it was worth it. And yeah, that's all I have to show for myself because I was very monogamous when knitting this. So we're just gonna skip right into whips. It's a little bit darker today because my cute little baby decided to wait until the end of the day to take his nap, but that's okay, we still love him. So bear with me. This is his sweater. And I know if you watched my fall-winter knitting plans, then you saw I was going to DC for a birthday party, and I was making this sweater for that party, and I said I was going to finish it on the plane. And then they changed the colors of the party theme from like not having a theme to black and gray, so I kind of lost the motivation to rush this out because it was white and it wasn't going to fit anyway, so he wasn't going to wear it regardless. But the body is finished. I have just picked up and not even knit a full round of the ribbing for the neckline because I can't really decide what type of neckline I want it to have, which is why it kind of stalled out. I just did a, what is this? I just did a super stretchy, super stretchy cast off on the bottom, and I switched from the 2x2 rib to 1x1, only for a couple of rounds. But yeah, when I make a decision on what I want to do, then I'm really almost done with this one. I just have to pick up for the sleeves, and voila, they'll be finished. But it's just about getting the motivation to actually pick it back up. We'll see. I'll try to have it done by the next one because I don't need needles just being held hostage. Also, in my plans for the fourth quarter of this year, we're stuck. I wanted to make a chunky v-neck for myself, and I had mentioned the Dave sweater by We Trade Designs. I have no idea how to say that, so I'm sorry to you, We Trade Designs, and I'm sorry to anyone who does know how to pronounce it and has to listen to my awful guess. But here's the shoulders. I use the Lang cloud yarn from that Dave sweater, held double, but I'm making up my own design for it, and it's kind of expensive. I got this ball in an actual yarn shop, so it was like $30. If you get it from Love Crafts, it's like $25. And then I think yarn.com, it's $30, but if you buy sweater quantity, you get 20 or 25% off, so it ends up being around 24, 25 anyway. But yeah, I only got one ball because first I wanted to see if I liked the color and the way it played together, because it's kind of really hard to tell from just the ball. The balls are like huge and only a couple colors show on the outside. So when I picked it up, it looked very like muted, like a lot of these colors you see out here were showing, but then when I opened it up, there was like this brighter green and some browns, and this orange started showing up. So I like the design so far, and it's going the way that I want it to go in my head, but I'm not 100% sure I want to commit to this color and like buy a whole sweater quantity of it, mainly because it's kind of like high contrast. Like this side and this stripe right here is very different from this side, and I'm trying to imagine it like all over on a larger scale, and I don't 100% know if I'll love it, even though initially I was kind of going for that swampier, like dirty green. Dirty is not the best word, but that type of vibe. Even though that was my original intention, I imagined the variations in color within the ball to be just slightly more subtle, and some of these like high contrast strips are making me a little nervous. So I did order color 11, which is like all blues, and I'm going to kind of start over and do this again just to compare. Even though it's kind of expensive per ball, it would be way more expensive to buy the whole sweater quantity and not like the sweater and not wear it. So I'm gonna get one ball, try the blues out, because that specific shade is all tones of blue, whereas this is like different colors with the green, brown, blue, orange. That one's just all shades of blue. So I think overall the like marliness will be toned down a little bit, and I think I might like it better, but I just don't love blue. So this again is on hold. It's waiting. I've gotten into a weird like spot because I wasn't buying yarn last month, but I was kind of productive. Like I was pretty productive, and I used up the majority of my stash. So what I have left, like I started this, I knit this in maybe a day, and I don't have any more yarn. So now I just have to wait. It's kind of like a forced stall. And my other projects are kind of daunting. Well, I have one more that's in the same position, which is this one, I believe. It is a Oslo hat. I'm doing this in the smallest size on 4mm needles instead of the 3.5, because the yarn that I'm using is slightly heavier in weight So I went down on size and up on needles, and it's for the baby, but my husband has a really small head, so I think they'll be able to share it, honestly. It's like halfway in between their sizes. And I'm doing this with the Jody Long Chow. It's just 100% superwash merino, and it's in this super, I think this would be like a DK weight, or maybe it's like a heavy DK, but the twist on this is I don't know what you would call it, but it's so plump and squishy, and the stitches, oh my gosh, the definition is incredible. And I kind of love it because it's just a plain black hat, so it was getting kind of boring, but it's fun to see the stitches like plump up and just be so cute and cozy. And then this has part of my acquisitions for this week. These little panda, what are these called? Point protectors, needle stoppers, whatever. So adorable. I got them on Etsy, and I got a couple more, so I'll get into that in a second. And then my last whip, which is barely anything at all, is a pair of socks. So here are my socks. I am doing these cuff down, and I'm currently working on the, what is this, 3x2 rib. My plan, I have them on these 2.25. I love that ChowGoo prints the size on the needles, but I don't understand why they don't print the length of the cord, at least on the fixed ones, because they're not going anywhere. But I think this is 40 inches. I think this is the 40-inch fixed circulars, and my game plan is to do 2 at a time. But I was watching the Crazy Sock Lady tutorial on YouTube for how to do 2 at a time cuff down socks, and she recommends to do 1 whole cuff and then cast on the second, do the whole cuff, and then put them onto the same needle. And this is my first ever sock that I've cast on, so I'm gonna follow her advice. I'm not gonna question it. I didn't watch the rest of the video because I am following an actual pattern for the socks, so I kind of just needed to know how to get them on here and then go from there. But these will eventually one day be the Flower Knot socks by Laurel Knits. Yeah, that's what it is. Flower Knot socks by Laurel Knit, and the original pattern is in DK weight on 3mm needles, I think, or 3.5. So I am making the largest size on, like I said, 2.25. So we'll see how that turns out. And I'm doing it out of, we can just kind of skip into acquisitions. This Ching fiber sock yarn. I have the ball band. In the color is called Wolpertinger, and it is 80 10 10, 80 merino, 10 cashmere, 10 nylon. And does anyone know if the merino content in a yarn. Like, it's mixed content, but the merino content is superwash. Does that make the whole yarn superwash? Because if only the 80% superwash merino is washing machine safe, can I put in the washing machine if the cashmere is not? I'm not sure. I've also noticed that most hand-dyed yarns say to hand wash the superwash anyway. So I guess it doesn't really matter, but I've always wondered what was the purpose of the merino being superwash if the rest of the content was not. And if you have that answer, I would really appreciate it. But I have it split in half to do the 2 at a time. And I'm very curious to see how this turns out. On this cake, it's a little bit easier to see these like bright orange, orangey reddy, speckly stripes. And then the base is kind of a very muted blend of like ivory, mint green, and it looks like a grayish brown. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But I think the size, oh, and this is first, I think the size of the needles is very scary. I feel like I'm knitting with toothpicks, and I feel like I'm starting something I will never be able to finish because the stitches are so small. But, you know, I just gotta get over it. Another fun little acquisition is this little project bag. It is actually a like toddler backpack. Me and my husband took our son to a place called Kid Space here in LA. It's like a theme park. I don't know what you would call it. It's for kids though. And this was in the gift shop, and I just thought it was the cutest little bag ever. It's a canvas turtle, and his neck is the opening, and it has 2 straps. You could carry it on your back, and it's perfect for socks. I couldn't put much else in it, to be honest. Like, this is just 1 pair of socks, and even though there's kind of space right here, if I were to put another skein, it gets tough to close. But it's cute and adorable, and it's the only thing making me reach for socks right now. So love that. Back to the stoppers. I placed an order on Etsy with Nikki. Oh no, it doesn't say. It was like Nikki Knit Crafts or Nikki Knits, something like that. I'll link it below. But she included this cute little note, and I ordered these puppies. Oh, so adorable. And my poodle is this color. Obviously not two-tone, but that was the inspo. The dog comes in like a couple different colors, and you can pick. And then I got some little piggies. And then the pandas that you already saw, and some regular flowers, which were cute on the site, but they kind of do nothing for me in person. They're very cute and dainty, and maybe when I have a project that actually matches them, then I'll be more excited about them. But the pigs, the puppies, and the pandas were definitely way more exciting. And when I received them, I realized they're just rubber beads. They're not like the little clover point protectors or some other like true knitting needle stoppers where the opening is only on one side and your needle can't go through. This you can't see, but it's just a hole all the way through. It's just a bead, but that's okay. Oh, you can see on this one, but that's okay because they've been making me happy, as childish as they are. and I love them. So probably won't order more, but did enjoy the experience, and they've definitely added joy to my life, and she included this free progress keeper, which is always a nice touch. I love free stuff. Okay, so yarn acquisitions. Like I mentioned before, we went to DC. I stopped by Loop Yarns. Looped Yarn Works is the name of the yarn shop in DuPont Circle, I believe it was, and I was so excited because as I mentioned in the last video, Felicia, another podcaster here on YouTube, had gotten some Malabrigo Susurro, which I really want to use for my future twist loop sweater, and I wanted to see if they had any in store to swatch to get my hands on some to make sure I was gonna like the fabric. And I went because Felicia had got some from this exact store, and they not discontinued, they stopped carrying it, and they had none, zero, no colors, which was disappointing, but still okay. And I ended up picking up the Ching Fiber sock yarn that's in the whips and the needles that I'm using on those socks. And then I also picked up this not looped yarn works, this punk rock unicorn, come on, sock yarn as well. The ball band, skein band, stunning, love it. I'd never heard of them before, but I think they're either new to the store or they're doing something, because all the yarns were on the walls, in the wall like bins, but the punk rock unicorn was like gorgeously displayed on a big table in the middle of the room, and all the colors were stunning. This is 85/15 superwash and nylon. And I will say, I've picked up a couple of sock yarns recently because my buying ban is over and I'm losing my mind. But this is so soft. This is incredibly soft. It's even softer than the cashmere blend from Ching Fiber. I don't know what is making this so soft, but it's delicious. And I got it in the color Avocado Light. I was considering this. I applied for a sock test knit to do toe up socks, so I can kind of learn both, because apparently Socktober is a thing and we're supposed to make socks this month. So I'm trying to get into this spirit, and I was accepted, so I'll be testing the Favorite Sweater Socks by Carly, and her Instagram is Northwood Knits, I believe. Northwood Knitwear. I will tag it below, but the design is gorgeous, and this yarn is gorgeous, but it's a cabled sock, and I'm just questioning whether I'm gonna like, you know, my camera cut off, but I'm questioning whether I'm gonna like this much contrast as far as the base being like a white creamy color, and then you have these like strong greens and then bright-ish pinks. I don't know how well that's gonna look in a cable. I'm thinking maybe it'll make a better like vanilla sock and just kind of let the color speak for itself. So we'll see. And then lastly, from Loops, I picked up, they had Knitting for Olive in the store, which was nice because not only did they have it, but it was only $9 a ball. And if you're in the States and you've looked for Knitting for Olive that you didn't have to order like from overseas, you've probably noticed that a lot of people mark it up. Like, I've gotten some from Shop La Mercerie, and I think their cotton merino is like $10 or $12 or something. Don't quote me on that, but, and they don't have all the colors, so you kind of run into that battle too. But they had the cotton merino, and I wasn't necessarily looking for this or like this fiber content either, but when I saw the bin of the Knitting for Olive, I realized that this in the cotton merino looks very similar to this in the merino, and the shop did not have merino. They only had cotton merino and heavy merino, I believe, so these were not an option. But if you remember a couple podcasts ago, I was talking about making a rumble raglan by What Lydia Made, and I was torn because I didn't like the fabric of these yarns held individually. It just was like spider webby, and it wasn't my cup of tea, and I didn't want to go all the way down to a 3mm needle when the pattern was written for 3.75 because just seemed like a lot of extra work. And one of my options was to hold it double with the pure silk in the color cream, but it's supposed to be like a color work kind of crazy sweater top. It's short sleeve, but you know, color work is supposed to be the thing, so I felt like having a consistent or not color work, but the contrast of the colors is kind of the theme of the sweater. So having that white strand consistently running through, I felt would take away from the design a little bit, and I wasn't quite loving that idea, so I sat on it. And when I saw these in the shop, I was like, this is perfect. As you can see, it's not an exact match. I have the unicorn purple in the merino and the rose mouse in the cotton merino, so they're ever so slightly different, but I think they're gonna look gorgeous doubled, and the contrast isn't too crazy, but in real life this is a tad bit more pink, and they look a little bit more different than they're coming up on camera right now. And then the ballerina I'm pairing with the soft rose. So this is like a little bit wider, a little more pale. This is a little more mauve-y, but I think that's going to be really cute. And then these are the most different. It's the ice blue with the soft aqua. And as you can see, this is like truly a baby blue, and this is a like blue green. So this is the only one that I'm like, I don't know how that's going to turn out, but within the design of the sweater, there is room for the colors to look a little crazy. So I think overall, it's going to turn out fine. I'm still going to scheme and try to find a way to make it work with only one ball of each color. But now I'm a little more excited to actually cast it on, because I had cast it on, I frogged it, but now I feel like the fabric has a much better chance of coming out the way I like it and it ending up being something I actually want to wear. So yes, that was all from Looped Yarn Works. I also picked up, this was not in DC, I picked this up in Santa Monica at a yarn store called Wild Fiber Studios. My battery's about to die. Alright, we're going to speed this along because I'm irresponsible and my other battery is not charged. But I went to Wild Fiber Studios in Santa Monica, and I picked up one skein of the Malabrigo Susurro in the color Pearl, which is just a regular gray. I've split it in half, and my plan is to swatch for the twist loop sweater to learn how to do the cables before I mess up the real thing. And then online acquisition, no, Wild Fiber Studios, I also picked up this gorgeous sock yarn, which I think I'm going to end up using for the test knit I was mentioning a couple minutes ago. It is Stitch Together Stitch Smooth Sock. It's another $75.25, and it is in their colorway February 2022 color of the month, Down with Love. So I guess they just had extra left over because it's clearly far from February, but it's much more of a cohesive color overall with it being so much pink. So I think it's going to work better for the design of that cable-y sock. And then my last acquisitions are from a yarn shop I ordered from called Hill Country Weavers. I forgot where they're located, but they ship, so it really doesn't matter. You can order online. I got some Lobby NMA sock yarn as well. This is the BFL Tough Sock 75% blue-faced Leicester, 25% nylon. I'm guessing that's what this is. Maybe that's that animal. Never heard of it. Not the softest, but color, gorgeous, stunning. Couldn't resist a good pinky purpley blue. That's my entire cup of tea. And I feel like socks can be a little more crazy in color because I barely ever wear them, so they can just be beautiful and in the house. And then I got some Suburban Stitches Hello Lovelies, or maybe that's just their logo. I think it's called sock. Just the regular sock, and then it's Suburban Stitches Hello Lovelies. It is this cute white with black and gray little moments in it. It is also $75.25. This too is softer than the Lobby NMA, which is interesting because everybody raves about it. I can see why color wise, but it really is not that soft. So yeah, this I'm thinking of turning into a hat that I've been dreaming up in my head but have not started working on yet. So we will see when that comes. But that is all for my acquisitions. That's all I have for y'all. Thank you so much for stopping by. I love this little internet bubble, so I appreciate anyone who wants to come and share it with me. And yes, we'll check in next time. Bye. No.